Hey everybody, in this video I'm discussing the new moon solar eclipse in Libra on October the 2nd, 2024. We have eclipses about every 6 months, but they repeat the same cycle every 19 years. This time, October the 2nd, the solar eclipse will be at 10 degrees of Libra. There's 30 degrees in every sign. If you have any planets within 2 or 3 degrees, especially about 3 degrees, maybe a little bit more, around 10 degrees of Libra or opposite 10 degrees of Aries, then the eclipse is going to put a major emphasis on that planet the impact could last for up to 1 year. And so as an example, if it's on Venus, it could be issues with love or even finance. Saturn, business, Jupiter, education, publishing, etc. And a solar eclipse could take at least 30 days, if not 60 days or more, to fully start revealing the lessons it's trying to bring. A solar eclipse brings sudden changes, new beginnings, and shifts in awareness. In Libra, the focus is on relationships and harmony and balance. This eclipse is going to be conjuncting Mercury, because Mercury is going to be at 11 degrees of Libra. This new moon solar eclipse is at 10 degrees of Libra. So all this whole new beginning is of the eclipse wants to bring in, depending on where it falls in your chart, because it's aligned with Mercury, there's going to be a lot of decision making, maybe having to make really important decisions. This new moon solar eclipse aligned with Mercury is also going to be forming a square, a 90-degree angle of internal conflict to impatient and impulsive, irritable Mars. But the Mars is in what we call a grand trine configuration, because Mars is in Cancer. Let's see here, at around 15 degrees of Cancer, in harmony with stabilizing Saturn at 14 degrees of Pisces. Cancer's a water sign, Pisces a water sign, and then we have benefic relational Venus in Scorpio at 11 degrees, the other water sign. So this solar eclipse is certainly going to be trigger a major reset with new beginnings around relationships. With the Mercury, you may be doing a lot of learning and reflecting and observing what's going on. But squaring the Mars could trigger a lot of conflict. But that conflict could trigger the grand trine that can bring a deep healing, a lot of growth. Now, before I go into more detail, and I'm going to very quickly, instead of like talking about all these big general trends, I'm just going to go right to each of the 12 signs so you can be thinking about how these general trends are impacting you. So, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. And if you go into the description box underneath the video, you'll find a direct link to book an astrology reading or check out my 2-question offer. Okay. The new moon solar eclipse in relational Libra, aligned with decision-making Mercury, it brings a powerful reset in communications, relationships, and peace. It will, because of the Mercury, encourage profound shifts in how we express ourselves and connect with others. This alignment heightens the need for diplomacy and fairness, urging us to rethink our partnerships. So, with that, keeping that key points in mind, let's start, yes, for Libra. If you have a Libra sun or a Libra rising, this powerful solar eclipse, and remember it's supported with a grand trine, that with all the tension and stress and having to rethink where your life is going, the grand trine, especially in water signs, water is emotional and healing. It brings the opportunity for a great deal of growth in relationships. So for Libras and Libra rising, it's in your sign. And so there's been real focus, certainly on new beginnings, new visibility, new leadership. Could be focused also on your body. And maybe this is wanting to get more into healing or trying to be more attractive, because with the eclipse in Libra, it's also compelling you to be more out in the world, more visible, more public. If you are a Scorpio or a Scorpio rising, Libra is the sign prior to Scorpio. So that, for those who know a little astrology, that would be the 12th house sector. And for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's the kind of the shadow, hidden part. And so there's the positive. This can be a major emphasis on introspection, a lot of going deep within, with soul searching, with counseling, and it could be triggered from relationships or even the lack of relationships. That 12th house could also really motivate you towards spiritual healing, spiritual practices. Sagittarius, a Sagittarius rising. That Libra eclipse is hitting your 11th. That's because Libra is 11 signs past Sagittarius. The 11th deals with a couple of areas. It deals with friendships, socializing, networking, really expanding your social circle. It has a lot to do with groups and organizations you may find yourself readjusting to or getting involved. And the 11th house is also where we start looking at our long-range goals. And so that with the Mercury on the eclipse, you could be doing a lot of thinking and planning about your long-range goals. Capricorn rising, Libra is 10 signs past Capricorn. Capricorn's going to love this because Capricorn is the 10th sign of the zodiac. If you start with Aries as the first sign, the beginning of spring in the northern latitudes, and Taurus is the second sign, Capricorn is the 10th sign. In basic astrology, the 10th house sector deals with career, your professional status in the world. Can be a lot of leadership and taking charge. And Capricorns are very goal-oriented, very business-minded. Capricorn is associated with the mountain goat, always trying to climb to the top of the mountain. Interesting thing in general with Capricorn, after they reach the top of the mountain, they go searching for another mountain to climb. So this solar eclipse is going to put a major emphasis on your career, whether you are gaining more prominence, whether you're changing careers. Aquarius Aquarius rising. Libra is an air sign in harmony with Aquarius, an air sign. So Libra is 9 signs past Aquarius, putting a spotlight, 9th house, higher education, going to school, or teaching, or publishing, or marketing. It's all about ideas about the world, learning about it, spreading it out to the world. Therefore, a lot of you could be really focused on more travel or international travel. The Pisces, Libra is 8 signs past Pisces. The 8th house is very complicated because it can be focused just on your financial responsibilities, taxes, loans, insurance. That's all on the mundane level. But the 8th house is also the house of transformation. And there could be some major triggers that compel many of you to really get into astrology, get into psychology, to figure out what in the world is going on. Aries rising, Libra is opposite Aries. The opposite deals with the significant other, whether this is your spouse, your partner, in personal, in business, or putting a emphasis on a lot of negotiations and contracts or setting up partnerships. That's the Aries. Taurus, Libra, 6 signs past Taurus. The 6 is work and health, and how those two make sense together. If you don't do the work, you're not going to have a career. You could get the degree and learn the job skills, but if you don't show up and do what you're supposed to do, there's no career. The same applies with if you don't take care of your body, your health, and eat properly, exercise. You've heard all this a million times. You're not going to have much of a body or much of a life. So the 6th house has a lot to do with body maintenance, work maintenance, and there is going to be a major emphasis on self-improvement with your body or self-improvement with your work. You could be learning new job skills. You might even be trying to launch your own business. Gemini is an air sign, and Libra, the air sign. Air signs are very compatible with each other. Air signs needs a lot of mental stimulation, a lot of variety, a lot of space and freedom. Gemini is 5 signs past Libra. So the 5th house is children, romance, creative expression. In business, it's speculation, investing. In a more pleasurable area, that 5th house can also be with sports and recreational activities. It's one of the more enjoyable areas of the chart. You could be focused on children, you could be giving birth to a child, or you could be working with children, or you could have your inner child come out, and maybe through sports or recreational activities. Cancer, well, Libra is 4 signs past Cancer. The 4th is home and family and real estate. So there could be a major reset with your living situation, your family situation, or where you're living. And Leo, it's Libra's 3 signs past Leo. The 3rd sector is the sector of communications. Learning, writing, classes, selling. That's a big one with the 3rd house. Whether you're writing or selling or selling yourself for job interviews. And then lastly, Virgo. Well, Libra is the sign after Virgo. So it's the 2nd sector. And if you know any astrology, the second sector in the horoscope is where your personal income, your possessions, it's where we're looking at your issues around money. And so there could be a major emphasis for Virgo and Virgo rising on how to increase your income, or how to make negotiating more financial business deals. Now that you're reflecting on how that new moon, and it could take, remember, the new moon solar eclipse, 30 days, 60 days, and then you start saying, oh, I see what's playing out here, what I have to learn and face. And if it's hitting a planet in your chart, whatever that planet represents, that's going to be the major focus of readjusting for up to 1 year. Sometimes with Venus, you could be falling in love or getting married. If it's on the moon, it could be with your family, your living situation, and so on and so forth. Now, I've been talking about the eclipse in Libra, and so Libra relationships, but with it being an eclipse, it's doing a lot of resetting with new beginnings, with Mercury having to make really major, important new decisions. If this solar eclipse is not impacting a planet in your chart, maybe up to 5 degrees, but usually 3 degrees, either side of 10 Libra or opposite 10 Aries, then it means that this month will be from the new moon solar eclipse on October the 2nd to the next new moon at the beginning of November. So this month will be very powerful and significant on some level for everybody, with the dominant theme of what I mentioned for each of the 12 signs. Now let's add in that eclipse that brings in new beginnings, sudden changes, Mercury having to make important decisions, rethinking where your life is headed. But it's also in a hard angle called a square to Mars. Now, Mars is in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is a bit passive-aggressive because Mars is the warrior planet. Mars wants to conquer the world. But Cancer is a more reflective, emotional sign. So it's not so direct. It's taking action indirect. There's your passive aggressiveness, and it's in a really stressful angle to the eclipse in Libra. So Mars tends to express its aggressive, assertive energy in a more emotional, indirect manner. So it is going to create a lot of tension between the desire for peace, but also all this emotional charge triggers in your life. So, with the Mercury, with the impulsive, irritable Mars, in general for everybody, but think about where this eclipse is falling in your chart, just in the general sense. Now we're talking about impulsive, irritable, anxious Mars in tension with communication, thinking, discussing Mercury. So miscommunications and impulsive arguments could really be bringing up a lot of frustrations and anger and impatientness. So there's going to be a strong pull between your need for emotional security, Mars in Cancer, and your desire for fairness and harmony, that's the Libra. Now remember that Mars, that can be really conflicted, stressful, argumentative. However, it's part of a very supportive grand trine, basically meaning that Venus, benefic, relational, harmonious Venus, is trining Mars. That's the best flow of energy. And on the other side of Mars, responsible, grounding, stabilizing Saturn is trining Mars, bringing, a much more focused energy, channeling that impulsiveness towards something more constructive. And then, of course, the Venus and Saturn, opposite in a way, on the other side of the Mars, but that brings a lot of grounding Saturn to relationships. Venus can also be finances. So this Mars is forming a grand trine with the Venus-Saturn Mars in the water signs. And water is emotional, it's intuitive, can be creative, and it creates, the grand trine in water signs, a really supportive network for emotional healing, depth, and commitment. So this grand trine suggests that while the eclipse and Mars create tension, there's an underlying current of emotional strength, healing, and transformation because of the grand trine. Now, let's break this down. The eclipse squaring Mars is conflict and tension. Could stir emotional conflict, particularly in relationships, even family matters. Impulsiveness, emotional outbursts, and the desire to protect or defend may arise. So that's the tension. But fortunately, it's triggering maybe a lot of unresolved issues or resentments that have been simmering below the surface. And instead of it just being an all-out war with Mars to the Mercury and the eclipse, the Mars is really supported with the grand trine. So the grand trine in water signs offers a path for emotional healing, forgiveness, and the deepening of connections, allowing you to navigate these tensions with greater emotional intelligence. Maybe the conflict, the arguments, is clearing the air to really open up new channels of communications. Then, with the Mercury, is all about information, communication, curiosity, learning. It's really emphasized because it's in Libra, right next to the eclipse. And so Mercury's role highlights the need for clear and compassionate communications, especially if you're having all these arguments and tensions. The Mercury is the grand trine is bringing a lot of emotional support. The Mercury is trying to bring in more clarity for clear and compassionate communications. So important decisions around relationships and partnerships may be on the forefront. So this powerful solar eclipse in relational, fair-minded Libra with intellectual communication, Mercury, all connected with the grand trine, connected with the Mars, suggests a month at least, and if it hits a planet in your chart, up to a year, suggesting a period of intense emotional and relational shifts with tension, with fighting, with conflicts with some of you, but with the potential for deep healing and growth. So there's setting the stage for a lot of resetting your relationships, to have more understanding, more compassion, more harmony. And so just go back to you can be looking at my forecasts, my monthly forecasts for October, or remember the key points I mentioned for each of the 12 signs earlier in this forecast. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or to check out my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.go, that's .co. Until next time, be safe and well.